Hello, it's Brandy Agerbeck of LooseTooth.com, and it is Studio Tuesday. And I wanted to, I'm actually in the studio. I want to show you what I'm working on. It is very cold and snowy here in Chicago, and so I'm all kind of bundled up in my long underswears. And what I'm really excited about is that a meeting I had last week with my good friend and thought partner, Patricia Martin, we were talking about audience. And this is a question that always, up until very, very recently, as in last week, would sort of make me a little crazy because, I'm really excited about the books I write. I'm really excited about the workshops I craft and the speeches I give and all this good stuff because I absolutely 110% believe in visual thinking. And I believe that drawing is this absolutely phenomenal thinking tool. And how many people are walking down the street going, I'm a visual thinker. Hello, visual thinker. How was your visual thinking today? That's just not the way most people move around the world is, identifying as a visual thinker. And that's, your reason for being out in the world. So, so we had a conversation last week and, this topic came up again and something just kind of dislodged, in a good way, in a really good way. So one thing I know is that, this is kind of a cruddy printout of my homepage. Toner's dying right there, but this has been my homepage of my website for a while, and it's basically set up as the left side of the page is about you learning drawing for yourself to strengthen your own visual thinking skills, and then this side of the page is the graphic facilitation practice, which is I come in and draw for you. So it's a very sort of, do you want this? Do you want this? And as my business is shifting, as my work is shifting, this shape doesn't feel right. And I know that what it's been is that, this is very much, my homepage currently is very much set up as about me. And, along the bottom, do you want to hire me as a speaker or a teacher? Or do you want to buy one of my books? Or do you want to hire me as a graphic facilitator? Or do you want to see my work as an artist? So it's, So what I'm working towards, and we're very much in the, amorphous, shaping, figuring stuff out phase, is that really you, as the visual thinker, you as the learner, should be the focus. And that probably sounds like a duh to anyone out there who knows that, that's the most important thing, right? And I absolutely agree. The issue is how the heck do you define, how do I define that audience aside from, people who want to learn from me? Which thankfully has been working fairly well so far, but, isn't super scalable because, about this many people know about me. So, and thank you for watching and being one of those people. So this conversation we had last week was about, she got into this idea of audience again, and I'm like, her advice for me is always to think about, what is somebody's two big things. One is what is somebody's own internal process and transformation. So how are they changing? How are they working differently now that they're using drawing? As they're building more of their visual thinking skills, what's happening, inside. And then the second thing she often asks me is like, how do you make this bridge from, from sort of the wider world to this land of visual thinking? And so somebody really knows where the heck they're going, what is their own path, and how is that bridge built from, all the folks over here who think, I can't draw, this is weird, there's nothing in this for me, to, the other side of the bridge where they're using these tools, they're learning these skills, they are making drawings, they are making meaning, and they are rocking, right? So that conversation is always, and bless Patricia for pushing back on me in that way. It's awesome. So, we're having this conversation, and then that night I sat down with clipboard and scrap paper and just started thinking about, more specifically about, what are these paths, what are these bridges, who are these folks, da da da. And I shared in last week's Studio Tuesday, which ended up actually looking super garbled and cruddy on Facebook Live. But I started talking about how I'm kind of defining these different types of visual thinkers, these different reasons we come to visual thinking. It's not job title specific, so I'm not going to say like, because you're X, you want to learn Y. It's a little bit broader than that. And I'll definitely share more as it forms enough to be shareable. Still feels like it's very much in a squishy stage right now. But that was really important work. Like it just started to shift on Monday night, and then Wednesday last week, again, I sat down, and this is part of my process at home is to, it's cold, like I said, it's winter, put on the space heater, put on the fireplace DVD, light a couple candles, get really, hygge, and all cozy and sit down with my materials at my big dining table. That's what I did last Wednesday, and it was just zoom. Like it was awesome. It was one of those rare cases where, not to say I'm never in the zone, but this was one of those like turbo boost, like turned up to 11, prolonged sessions where, I really just explored this idea of these different types of visual thinkers. And then, like it got all that sort of wrestled and wrangled and tackled a very, very, very solid first draft, first iteration. And then I, like, let's tackle this thing next. So I started tackling another thing, and it was fantastic. So now I'm in the studio and I'm trying to explore this idea more. And so I had my computer up, and what I was doing was basically just switching modes. So having gone from these drawings, so I've got these drawings that are really sketchy and messy of these 6 different types of people, going from this to text-based, and that was just sort of like, just getting ideas down and like, okay, if I were to describe who this group was, it'd be this. And at a certain point, I hit on this idea of how am I going to sequence. I'm one person, one person who's living a life, running a business, producing these online courses, writing books, giving workshops, all sorts of things. So getting really realistic and far more humane towards myself and figure out, okay, what are the sequences of these, and what are the components? And so, at a certain point, I was like, okay, I've done enough typing. That doesn't feel right anymore. So let's switch modalities again. And in this case, what I did was made the task more spatial and physical. And I took pieces of paper and I folded them. So I took, I've got some scrap paper behind me over here. And like this is an old printout of notes from the Idea Shapers. I took the piece of paper and folded it long ways into fourths, so it gave me 4 little strips like this. And then what I did was I took these mini little post-it notes and started playing with, for each of these audiences, what would be a progression of their learning. So for this particular type of learner, these folks who are motivated by visual thinking in this particular way, what would be sort of like a great way to kind of hook them and bring them in? Sort of say, hey, here's why drawing is so useful and adaptable and like right on for this thing you're really excited about. And then a progression of online courses that people could pick a la carte and do, one by one. Or I'm thinking like bundling these guys into like a really awesome package offering. And then this pink flag over here is where do they go next? Like what's the next level of their learning? But definitely thinking of this part as a really robust visual thinking program. So, and again, this is very much that bridge of going from over here going, I don't know why Brandy does that. I mean, it's great that Brandy does that stuff, but I don't know what's in it for me, to this sort of like what's in it for them entry point, and then a really lovely progression of, starting out with some quick wins, I'm building and building and building until you're doing much more sophisticated work. And then the idea is, once you've sort of graduated from this path, what could be that next path? So that is the work I've been doing here in the studio right now. And, like this particular audience, I don't have a whole heck of a lot for yet, which is okay. For each of these, there's different, there's overlap, there's certain online courses that definitely are pertinent and relevant for several different audiences. So, again, this is kind of the behind the scenes, but you can see how I'm making my task physical and shifting the format. So, just by having these strips, I'm thinking of, what is this progression? I'm using these Post-it notes because it's really easy to move them around. And if I say, oh, you know what, actually, I think this would be better before this, it's super easy to adapt. Using these little flags as sort of the entry and exit points, or entry points and next level points. But, I'm using the same colors, the same placement, the same color across each one. So I'm creating my own kind of visual pattern as I go. So, and I like, that this is physical and I'm moving stuff and it's, I get to bend, fold, spindle, do not mutilate, bend, what's the spindle part? Do not bend, fold, something, mutilate, spindle? Does that make any sense? But I love, the manipulating paper, whatever that phrase is, I'm trying to remember. But really, getting a chance to shift the perspective, shift the format, use these sort of modular elements so that I can, move things around and it's really adaptable. And I can then look at these and sequence them and say, hey, these are the folks I want to focus on first. Here's where I'm going next, da-da-da-da-da. So, all of this is adaptable to be able to move stuff around and decide, okay, that's the progression I think I want. So that is the Studio Tuesday today. Definitely stay tuned because I am super excited about this. Not only the individual programs, but now the fact that I'm getting so much smarter around who is it for, helping you understand how powerful these tools are for you, instead of just sort of like, hey, I think this is really awesome. Because basically what I did last year was come up with a one-page curriculum around visual thinking. And it's still incredibly solid, but it is completely from my POV as the person who kind of understands this entire universe. But now, especially after the conversation last week with Patricia, and knowing that there was something, having a sort of uneasiness, knowing that, but definitely from that conversation and then, working it out through iteration, realizing that, yes, this is sort of the whole universe of what Brandy knows. But that doesn't mean that's what you feel you need to learn. So, these guys are trying to be that bridge between all the stuff I want to teach and what you want to learn. Da 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 da. I talked to my very good friend John Ward a few days ago too, and had a similar conversation where he's like, he and I are both complete nerds for this kind of stuff. And he's like, yeah, I go into these workshops. He was doing really lovely an afternoon program with the Boys and Girls Club. So going in kind of after school program with kids drawing. And he said, I'd go in with all these principles, meaning like ideas, not like heads of schools. I go in with all these principles I want to teach and all these ideas. And he's like, and I walk in and they just go flying out the window because you just respond to what the kids want to do or where they go. And that very much was another another really great case of I know everything I want to know, but that doesn't mean doesn't mean I understand where somebody's coming from, what they want to learn. So that's definitely what I'm trying to get better and better at, because I know these tools are really awesome and I want you to learn them because I know you're going to do amazing things with them. So again, it's not becoming Brandy when you grow up. I'm being Brandy just fine. I want you to be you, but you to use drawing to do so much awesome things and to build these visual thinking skills, again, because you can do so many awesome things with them. So, yeah, so, this was a very important step, and it's not a problem. There's still a whole lot to be done with this. It's just a matter of sort of slicing and dicing this curriculum in a way that it makes far more sense for the learner, for you, for the person who wants to build these skills for themselves versus, here's the giant universe of visual thinking, and, here's your slog through it. Nobody wants a slog. I don't want a slog. You don't want a slog. So that is what's happening in the studio this Tuesday. Again, working on this curriculum idea, but very, very, very much more focused away from me as the expert and to you as the learner and soon to be experienced, awesome drawer and idea shaperer. So that's it from here. Hope you are well wherever you are. By all means, if you want to keep updated on what the heck is happening here, what the courses are, how you can learn, how we can work together, the very best thing you can do is hop on over to loosetooth.com. Go to the bottom of the homepage and you'll see a mailing list sign up. So signing up for that mailing list is the absolute best place to go to make sure you are in the know and know what the heck is going on, because that's why I'm making this stuff. It's all about creating resources for you. And sometime soonish, I'll talk more about what these different types are, and hopefully you'll hear those, see those, look at those, and go, yeah, I relate to that. I'm this person, I'm a little bit of that person. That's why I'm excited about this stuff. So that you can find what's in it for you and your path instead of just sort of like this massive, intimidating, overwhelming, like, there's so much to know, blah. That's just, not good. So, all right, I think I'm done. Thank you for watching. By all means, if you have any comments or questions, please post them below. Subscribe if you want to keep updated, follow, all that kind of stuff. Kind of don't know exactly where you're going to be watching this video, but like I said, number one way to keep in touch is to hop on over to my hub, loosetooth.com, my homepage, and sign up for the newsletter. So wherever you are, I hope you are well. Wherever you are, I hope you have paper and pen, and you're making some drawings, and you're making some meaning for yourself. So thank you so much for watching, and until next time.